Good morning, Bright City. We're so excited to have you today. We are going to continue in our series, Prayers of the Saints, where we're just learning from some of our brothers and sisters and how God has been faithful and shown up in our prayers and in their prayers. I'm just excited to be encouraged and learn with y'all. So before we get started with that, would you just join me in standing for worship?
Like a hurricane, I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am unaware of these afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us so. And oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. Sing that one more time. He is jealous. And he is jealous for me. He loves like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wind and mercy. When all of a sudden I am overwhelmed by these afflictions, eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you are and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us, oh, how he loves us, how he loves us so. For we are his portion and he is our prize, drawn to redemption by the grace in his eyes. If his grace is an ocean, we're all sinking. So heaven meets earth like a sloppy wet kiss, and my heart turns violently inside of my chest. I don't have time to maintain these regrets when I think about the way he loves us. how he loves us so. Oh, how he loves us so. Let's sing one more time, how he loves. And oh, how he loves us, oh. And oh, how he loves us, and how he loves us, oh.
This month at Bright City, we are digging into the prayers of the saints. You're going to hear from 4 people who are going to give testimonies as to how God has used prayer in their life in a mighty way. We're so excited for the testimonies that you're going to hear, and we believe that prayer is going to be a mighty movement that happens within Bright City, and we can't wait for that to start in and among our people.
My name is Deb Hopper. I am an owner here at Bright City and also happen to be the mom to Jess Connolly, but I'm also mom to Katie and Caroline and Nani to 10 beautiful grands.
And how long have you been attending Bright City?
I've been attending for about a year and a half.
All right, so this month we're talking about the prayers of the saints. Will you tell us about a time where you were really personally impacted by seeing God move through prayer?
Wow, I would love to. One of the first times that I felt God move in me personally through prayer was in my early 30s. I was separated, newly single mom to Jess and Kate, and was in a just season of being stuck. And I knew I was stuck, but you know, when you're in it, you just kind of don't know how bad you are until a good friend lovingly points you in a new direction. And so this friend took me to lunch one day and said, look, I know you're struggling. I know being a single mom is hard, but I see that you're stuck in a lot of areas of your life. And I said, well, I get that, I feel that, but I don't really know how to get ahead. I don't know how to make any changes. And she said, well, have you prayed? And I said, yes, I pray daily, but I'm not seeing any response. And she said, well, there is a principle that I use, and I think it would bless you. And I think that, you know, you could benefit from this. And of course I was hungry for it. I said, what is it? And she said, it's the Matthew 7:7 principle. Ask, seek, and knock. Well, I knew about Matthew 7:7, but I wasn't really sure how that played out. And she said, basically you take index cards, and on one side of the card you write out Matthew 7 verse 7, which says, ask and it shall be given, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened for you. And then on the flip side of that card, you write the area of your life or the thing that you're praying about, and then you turn it back over so that all you focus on for 30 days is ask, seek, and knock. And you post that anywhere that you'll see it, on your windshield of your car, on your mirror in your bathroom. You post it on your kitchen cabinets, on the refrigerator. But you really, for 30 days, you commit to ask God, seek Him in all the areas, and knock diligently until He answers. So I grabbed hold of that principle. I went home, got a pack of index cards, but I felt so overwhelmed in so many areas of my life. I wasn't really sure how to, which area to put down on the card, to be honest. So that weekend, I had some time alone, and I said, God, I'm busted in so many areas of my life. I don't really know which one to put down. And I felt like He was nudging me in 4 areas There were 4 areas of my life that were really busted and I was stuck in. One of them was house. We lived in kind of a rundown house that had a lot of repairs, needed a lot of work, and it was 30 miles outside of the city where I didn't have any support for raising 2 children alone. The second area was car. My car had died 2 weeks before Christmas, and I just left it on the side of the road because it was completely irreparable. And I was driving my dad's pickup truck that he had loaned to me in the gap of that time. The third area was job. I was in a good job, but it didn't pay a lot. I was working for a nonprofit. I loved the community there, but it didn't provide for our family in the way that I knew that I needed to provide for them. And the fourth area was body. I had gained a lot of weight during the separation, and I knew I needed a reboot. So I just prayed and said, God, I have all of these areas. I'm not really sure which one to focus on. So I just put on the back side, the flip side of those cards, house, car, job, body. House, car, job, body. But I focused on the Matthew 7:7 verse for 30 days.
So good. I love that. What is some of the fruit you saw personally come out of that season?
Well, it wasn't immediate in a day or a week, but honestly, in 30 days, I felt like there was movement in every one of those 4 areas. Within 30 days, God had prompted me, because part of ask, seek, and knock is you ask, you look, with your eyes wide open for doors that God's opening, and you knock diligently, which means you have to walk through those doors when they open. So in 30 days, I had some significant movement. I had actually purchased a car, and through a series of events that only God could have lined up, they offered a rebate that was good for a down payment on a car, which I didn't have a down payment. I didn't have a car to trade in, but I saw an ad in the paper and was able to purchase a car. In 60 days, I had listed the house at the lake on the market, and God had opened the door for an apartment, kind of a house swap with an apartment inside the city limits that was closer to family and work. And so within 60 days, we had moved out of the lake house that needed all the repairs into a townhouse that needed no repairs and was 5 minutes from school and all the family support that I needed. Within 90 days, I had placed a call to a former employer and said, you always told me I could come back if I found myself in a position needing work. And I do. I need a better salary and I need benefits because I'm in a different position than when I left. And this employer said, give me about another 2 months. I'm working on a new management position and I would love for you to be in that position. And so that one didn't actually occur for about 4 months into the Matthew 7:7 project. But it ended up being a position that provided for our family beautifully and gave me a lot of corporate work experience that I've used for years and years afterwards. And then the last area, body, I knew I needed a reboot. I needed to just really take care of myself better, but I didn't see a way to do that. And within about 60 days of my Matthew 7:7 project, a friend called me and said, hey, there's a program I want us to sign up on and be a buddy system in this, and it only costs $200. Well, in those days, $200 was like $2,000 for me. I didn't have the money. But that very day that she called me and I said, I'll pray about it. I'm really seeking the Lord about all things right now. The very day I got a rebate check on a gas tank from the lake house, and it was the exact amount I needed to enter into that program. So within about 6 months, I had taken ownership over like parts of my body that I had let go, and it helped me feel whole again.
So I love that story. I asked you to share it because growing up, I remember seeing that Matthew 7:7 all over our house. How did that impact your faithfulness for the next few decades and your belief about God's faithfulness?
I think it was such a simple principle, but one that I had to walk through and apply myself in all the steps. The first step of asking and believing that God was a Father that did want to provide for me, who did want to give me open doors, and who did want to show me new ways of looking at old problems. So the asking part taught me a lot about how to ask God, so that I don't today have to write it on an index card. I just talk out loud to him while I'm driving, or when I'm preparing dinner, or when I'm working in the garden. I ask him, but I ask him believing that he's the Father, a good Father that wants to answer. So knowing that he did during that season, and he provided in very basic and provisional ways for me, gave me an assurance that he's the Father that wants to give good gifts to his children. And then I think also it taught me that the seek part of ask, seek, and knock means you have to walk through some doors. You have to open your eyes. I had to physically go find a car. I couldn't wait for a car to be delivered to my doorstep. I had to work out the finances of providing for my children and providing for our family. God doesn't always send a check in the mail. He did when I needed it in that one specific occasion. But a lot of times the seek part requires an activity on our part. It requires just pressing in and looking all around to see what's open.
Will you tell me about a time in your life where you saw God's faithfulness in multiple people praying together, or how you saw him move in a group of people through prayer?
Yes, it was not soon after that, maybe 5 years later, when I was back in the corporate job that I had opened the door for and walked to. And in my position at this global company, I also was responsible for a team in this local office. And one of the team members was a young man who had a liver disease. And he was only about 28 years old, but due to some circumstances of taking steroids when he was in a sports environment in high school, it had damaged his liver. And so now at 28, he was facing a life-threatening situation if he didn't get a liver transplant. And because I believed so firmly that we're supposed to ask, seek, and knock, and God had already walked me through it personally, those in our office started to ask, how can we pray for him? How can we just seek God on his behalf? And one or two of us started gathering in my office and closing the door and praying for this young man, until the point that it got to be a little bit uncomfortable and I felt like I needed permission. We were in a corporate setting. So I went to our vice president and told him that we would like to use our break time, our 10-minute break time, every Tuesday at 10 to pray for this young man. And did I have his permission? This man was not a Christian, but he could see that we were doing something good for a person that worked for us, and he said yes. He was in favor of that. So we started meeting in my office every Tuesday at 10. We called it the Tuesday at 10 prayer group, until it became so large that we had to move to a conference room. But at least 10 or 12 of us would gather to pray for this young man. And I just saw their faith grow. I saw their belief system grow in what some of them didn't even know God, but they knew they loved this man, and they knew that they wanted him to have a liver transplant. And I saw his family respond, knowing that we were praying for him. And then when God blessed him with a new liver, I saw the people in that office grow closer to God and want to know more about the Father who answers prayers.
If you could charge the people of Bright City with one encouragement encouragement regarding prayer, what would you say?
I would say that God is a good Father, and He does want to answer our prayers, but more than anything, He wants us to talk to Him. And that's all prayer is talking to God. Whether you talk to Him silently, or whether you talk to Him out loud when you're by yourself, or whether you talk to Him in a group of people, God desires our relationship, just like we desire relationship with other people, with our spouses, with our children, with our best friends. That's all God wants. He wants us to talk to Him. He wants us to trust Him. And He wants us to acknowledge that He is the God of the universe. And when we do that, things shift, things change. And sometimes it's a change in our hearts, and sometimes it's things in our circumstances, and sometimes it's things in people around us. But if we trust Him, He's going to change things for us. He's going to shift things that we care about. So talk to Him about the things you care about.
So good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, Bright City, it's response time. We respond to God in just a few different ways here at Bright City. We respond through worship. We sing to God. We tell Him how good He is. We remind our souls how faithful He is. We respond through prayer. We talk to God. We share our hearts with Him, and we ask for prayer when we need it. You can do that through the Faith Street app. We're also faithful, and we return to God what is His through our tithe. And if Bright City is your church, you can do that through Venmo. You can do it online. You can also do that through Faith Street. And lastly, we partake in the meal of the body of Christ. We take communion. And so I want to encourage you to do that in your home. Thank God for His body and His blood given on our behalf, that we might be reunited with God, that we might be a part of His family. Let's respond.
The Lord bless you and keep you, make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace. The Lord bless you and keep you, make His face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn His face toward you and give you peace. May His favor be upon you in 1,000 generations, and your family, and your children, and the children, and the children. May His presence go before you, and behind you, and beside you, all around you, and within you. He is with you, He is with you in the morning, in the evening, and you're coming, and you're going, and you're weeping and rejoicing. He is for you, 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 He is
Hey, Bright City, thank you for spending your morning with us and being encouraged with us. We're grateful to have you here. What we like to do before we leave is just read Matthew 5 over us. And so wherever you are, just read this with me. You are the light of the world. A city built on a hill cannot be hidden. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. Have a great week.